My guest today here at the Cicada is Joseph Neville, a local singer-songwriter and Amplify 817 artist. Thanks for hanging out with us. I was doing a little bit of reading about your background. You're a full-time singer-songwriter. How long did it take to get to that point?
Yeah, it was about 5 years, I would say. I had a short career as a music teacher, and had a position for 3 years, then a year, and quit my job, lived out of my car for about a year and a half, and then it was about that amount of time to where I started making enough money to be able to pay rent somewhere, and then it's been 5 years since then. So.
Cool. Well, we enjoyed listening to you at the Southside Preservation Hall a few weeks ago.
Thanks.
And I noticed you have kind of these funny little quips that you say between your songs. And so I was going to ask you, how did you learn about that aspect of your showmanship?
Yeah, well, I write a lot of sad music, and my genre has been lovingly called sad guitar guy tunes. And so I found that whenever you're able to make someone laugh, like, it's a good sign that their guard is normally down and they're a little more relaxed. And so I felt like if I could make someone laugh or break the ice, then there'd be a little more bandwidth for them to hear like some potentially heavier music or engage with something a little loftier. So that was what made me think about ways to try and break that
It works
ice.
really well. And you had one story I want you to kind of recount about. It ends with like a lady yelled about construction on I-35. What was that moment like?
Yeah, so I was writing tons of songs, and the best way to find out if a song is working is playing it live and seeing like how it gets received. And so I was in Austin, Texas, and it ended up being like a really wild night at this particular bar. My first time playing there, and it was so loud I couldn't even hear myself think, couldn't hear myself play. And so I thought, I'm just gonna try out some of these new songs. And then one of the lines in that song is, "You could drive down 35 and see me face to face," and obviously referencing Interstate 35. And as soon as I said that line, this lady from the back of the bar yelled out, "Not with all this construction," and like cut through all the noise. And that was what made me think like maybe I really have a special song here. So, yeah, that was a fun one.
She was listening. So you do a mix of originals and covers, and I noticed your covers were pretty interesting. You're not just recreating the songs, so you're kind of rearranging them. I kind of hear them kind of anew, so to speak, right? So what's your approach to doing cover songs? Reharmonizing them, I imagine, a little bit?
Yeah, rearranging them a little bit, because a lot of pop and rock music obviously has like synths and drums and electric guitars over them. And underneath all of that, though, is just like a very simple song, with verses and choruses, sometimes bridges. And so it's fun to it's fun to deconstruct those songs and see what's, like at the foundation of them. And then when you find a song that has bones that you really like, it's fun to kind of rework them and like rearrange them.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it fun because, you can play, Don't Stop Believin', but sometimes like a wine bar doesn't want to hear like a rip-in guitar solo and like big drums. And so it's fun to still give them that song, but keep it
fresh.
An appropriate energy.
Cool. Well, I was looking at your website on Amplify 817, and you said Fort Worth is a hub for culture and is very strategically placed in the United States to not only be a host for great music around the world, but as a producer of incredible music as well. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, I think Fort Worth is primed to be a really incredible hub for art and culture and music specifically. And part of that is just, being less than an hour away from one of the largest airports in the world. With real estate and with business opportunities, tons of people are flooding DFW from places like New York and Los Angeles. And so it's bringing in more connections, it's bringing in a stronger network of folks, not only, making things stronger nationally, but I think like building more connections worldwide. And so I think Fort Worth is a really fun place to see that happening real time. And I'm happy to play a small part in that and participate in that.
Cool.
So.
And you have a new concept, artist concept that you're working on that kind of has like a 90s sound to it. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to be in a rock band, always wanted to play guitar, like electric guitar and electric guitar solos. And so I pay the bills by, doing the solo acoustic singer-songwriter thing. But over the past year and a half or so, my friend Blake has helped me produce this project called Crying in the Car. And it's basically a nostalgia-fueled fever dream, late 90s, early 2000s pop rock and R&B. And so he helped me produce some tracks, and we released them and put a show on at Lola's in September, and it was a huge hit. Had a great turnout, and I've been slowly trying to scheme my way into figuring out how I can do that full time instead of doing like acoustic covers full time.
So it was a lot of fun, basically.
It was a ton of fun. The most fun I've ever had on stage,
cool.
for sure.
You got to pretend you're like, or not pretend, you got to like relive like a 1990s rock band that we all kind of grew up listening to.
Yes, that was a goal. That was a goal. So yeah, lots of drum machines and synthesizers, and yeah, it was fun.
And is it an amalgam of what different kind of bands? Can you kind of mention a couple influences there?
Yeah, you know, it might sound sacrilegious to say, but we one track in particular, we tried to make it sound like Boyz II Men meets Oasis, you know, and so things like that. You know.
Okay, cool. Good vocals, I'm sure.
I hope so. I hope people would
You're
say
a good vocalist.
Yeah, thanks.
So if folks want to follow this project and support you, give us your Patreon, your Instagram, everything.
Yeah, well, the biggest and most important link is the Patreon.
Okay,
it's
that.
patreon.com/JoePatnev, and everything is Joe Patnev, so JoePatnev. It's joepatnev.com. My personal Instagram is at joepatnev, and yeah, so that's the best way to find stuff. Joepatnev.com is basically an online card with tons of links and things like that. So.
Well, one last question. What's in store for this year? Give us the full layout, 2024.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
I have a new album coming out next month called Home Recordings, and we're going to put on a big show for that at the Post, which is probably my favorite venue in Fort Worth. And after that, going to do a house concert tour and things like that to promote Crying in the Car and try and gather some resources and funds to do that full time. So that by the end of the year, this year, hopefully, you'll see a lot more Crying in the Car and still just a little bit of Joseph Neville.
With the ultimate goal of moving to New York City.
No, I will never. Absolutely not. I am staying here.
All right.
I'm staying here. We'll bring New York to Fort Worth.
Bring it here. Well, thanks to the Cicada for hosting us. Again, you know, Amplify 817, you guys do a whole lot for the music community, and you as well, Joseph.
Thanks.
So best of luck this year. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. Thanks for letting me hang out with you guys.
It was fun.
Appreciate what you all do.
Wasn't too boring.
Not at all.